I still remember the weight of the keys in my palm the day I closed on my first apartment. They were heavier than I expected, a little scratched, not shiny at all, but they felt like a promise. I stood in the empty living room surrounded by blank white walls, the sun falling in a warm stripe across the wood floors, and I thought, this is mine. Not ours, not the family's, mine. No chore chart taped to the fridge. No well-meaning commentary about how I stack dishes wrong, or how my laundry could be more efficient. Just silence and the faint smell of new paint and possibilities. I moved my first boxes in by myself because I wanted to feel it fully. The thunk of the box on the floor. The squeak of the window when I pushed it open. The echo when I laughed for no reason. It was a small place, but it was perfect because it was where I would learn who I am when no one else is there to narrate it for me. My mom cried when I told her I'd put down the offer. Not sad cried, just that trembly smile that says she's proud and also a little terrified. We hugged and she kept saying, "Call me if you need anything, okay? Anything." Promised I would. She deserved to enjoy this with me. She's the reason I know how to budget, how to read a contract, how to cook something besides cereal. I wanted this to be good for both of us. What I didn't factor in, what I could not have guessed, was my mom's sister. My aunt. The entitled hurricane that is Linda. If you've got a Linda in your family, I'm sorry because you already know. The kind of person who claims the last slice of cake because I didn't have lunch, who borrows your sweater and then somehow it becomes hers because you never wear it anyway, who says things like we're family, the way other people say I have cash. Linda has a daughter, my cousin Amber, who inherited the worst of her mother's habits and none of the hustle. Amber is 23 going on 13, allergic to alarm clocks and responsibility. She doesn't leave a mess. She is a mess. The first time Linda called about the apartment, I'd been living there a week. I was eating pizza on the floor and building an IKEA bookshelf, and I answered because I thought she'd be congratulating me. Instead, she went straight to business. "Sweetheart," she said, in that syrupy tone that always means I'm about to be volunteered for something. "I heard about your little place. So proud. Listen, you know Amber's had a rough go. Her roommate is crazy, like actually dangerous, and it's just not a good situation. We were thinking she could stay with you for a little while. Just until she gets on her feet." I stopped twisting the tiny Allen key. "Stay with me. Temporarily," she said. "You're family. We help each other." In my head I saw my tiny bathroom with its single towel rack. The closet that I'd measured 3 times to make sure my sweaters would fit. I saw the calendar on my wall where I had circled first weekend alone, like it was a holiday. "Linda," I said carefully, "I'm happy to help Amber look for a place. I can send listings, maybe help her write a rental application. But my apartment, it's small, and I really want to live alone for a while." There was a pause. She didn't like no. "Linda is used to fine, and I guess, and I'll make it work." "Carrie," she said, dropping the sweetness, "we're talking about family. We're not asking you to do anything crazy. She'll sleep on the couch. She's hardly home." "I don't even have a couch yet," I said, and I almost laughed. That was the first skirmish. She hung up with the kind of sigh that's designed to make you feel like you failed a test you didn't know you were taking. I put my phone face down and turned up the music and kept building the bookshelf, but the quiet of the apartment felt more fragile after that. It was like she'd reached through the phone and laid a claim. The next day my mom called. "Honey," she started, and I knew. "Linda said Amber's scared to stay where she is. Maybe just a few nights? I'm not pushing, I want to be alone," I said. "I know that sounds selfish, but this is the first thing I've ever done that's just for me. I need it to be just for me." There was a long quiet. Then she said, "Okay, I'll tell her to back off." I could hear the strain in her voice, like she was bracing for the storm. The storm came anyway. It came as group texts, Linda looping in cousins and in-laws, just to brainstorm, which is what she calls ambushes. It came as guilt-tripping voicemails. "We all helped you get where you are," as if hardwood floors and new locks were community property. It came as little digs when we were at family dinners. Some people forget where they came from, tossed out like a fishing line, waiting for me to bite. I kept my boundaries. I said no, and that won't work for me. Phrases I'd practiced in the mirror. I sent Amber 3 decent listings. I offered to go with her to an open house. None of that was what Linda wanted. She wanted access. 2 weeks later, I got home from work and found Linda and Amber standing in the hallway outside my apartment door with 2 suitcases and a plastic bin of toiletries. Amber was scrolling on her phone. Linda was smiling like a magician who had already put the rabbit in the hat. "Perfect timing," she said. "We were just about to text." I held my keys like armor. "Why are you here?" "Because it's not safe where Amber is," Linda said, brushing past the question. "I talked to your mother. She's on board." My stomach dropped. "You talked to my mother?" "She agrees that family comes first," Linda said, angling her body toward my door. "Now let's not make a scene in the hall." I didn't move. "You are not coming in." Something in my tone made Amber look up. Linda blinked like I'd spoken a dialect she didn't understand. "Excuse me." "You didn't ask," I said. "You announced." "I've already said no." Linda's smile thinned. "Your mother raised you better than this." "My mother raised me to be polite," I said, voice steady. "Not to be a doormat." We stood there, 3 statues in a brightly lit hallway that suddenly felt like a stage. A neighbor's door opened and closed. Somewhere a TV laughed. It was surreal. Linda tried to step closer. I shifted to block her. For a second I thought she'd push me. Instead, she did something worse. She rolled her eyes, turned on her heel, and said loud enough for the whole floor to hear, "It's fine. We don't need your charity." As they dragged the suitcases away, Amber muttered, "Whatever." Like this was a TikTok comment section. I went inside shaking. I set my keys down and leaned my forehead against the cool cabinet door. Then I did 3 things. I changed the deadbolt to a keypad lock, I put a doorbell camera up, and I texted my mom exactly what had happened. She called immediately. "I didn't say it was okay," she said, breathless. "I told Linda you needed space. She heard what she wanted." I believed her. I also knew that believing my mom didn't make Linda disappear. What followed was exhausting. Linda pivoted to scorched earth tactics. She posted vague statuses on Facebook about selfish young people who think they did it all alone. She cornered my mom at church, teary-eyed, complaining that I had humiliated her in front of Amber. She called me from different numbers when I blocked her, then left voicemails about how I'd regret isolating myself. Amber chimed in with an Instagram story that wasn't about me but was definitely about me. Some people think having a tiny apartment makes them better than everybody. I ignored it. I kept my head down. I went to work, I came home, I assembled my couch, I found a plant that might survive me. But my doorbell camera started feeding me a new kind of anxiety. Linda's face, distorted by the fisheye lens, knocking while I wasn't home. Amber with a Starbucks cup, rolling her eyes at my peephole. The elevator opening at my floor and then closing again. It was like having a front row seat to the pressure campaign. I sent Linda a text, calm, measured. "Stop coming to my building. This is harassment. Do not show up uninvited. Do not contact me except by text about family emergencies." I sent the same to Amber. Then I screenshotted it all, emailed it to myself, and backed it up in a folder labeled apartment receipts. I wasn't trying to escalate. I was trying to draw a line that could be seen from space. Linda responded with a voice note about family doesn't threaten family. I didn't answer. For a week it was quiet. Then one Saturday morning, I woke up to find my parking spot taken. A dented Honda parked sideways, a sunshade with glitter letters in the windshield that said Goddess. My name was stenciled on the curb. My permit was on my dashboard. The Honda wasn't mine. I went to the front desk. The building manager, Mr. Doyle, raised his eyebrows. "That's not your car?" "I've never seen it," I said. He checked the log and shook his head. "No guest pass, no plate on file." He sighed and called the tow truck. When the driver hooked the Honda up, the elevator dinged. Amber burst into the lobby barefoot, holding one sneaker and yelling, "Wait, that's my car." I looked at her. She looked at me. Something in her expression, a mix of indignation and triumph, made my stomach sink. "Why are you here?" "I came to talk," she said, like the tow truck was my fault. "I had to park somewhere." "You can't park in my spot," I said. "God, you are so dramatic," she spat, and then to the driver, "You can't take my car. I know my rights." Mr. Doyle folded his arms. "Not without a guest pass." Amber turned to me like I was a customer service desk. "Tell them to stop." I didn't. The driver shrugged and kept working. Amber called me a name that rhymes with witch and Mr. Doyle told her to watch her language. When the car was finally hitched and started rolling away, she glared at me like I personally invented consequences. "This isn't over," she hissed and limped back to the elevator, still holding one shoe. It wasn't over. It was just getting interesting. 2 days later, a maintenance worker knocked. "We had a report of a leak from your unit into the stairwell." He looked apologetic. "Need to check your bathroom." There was no leak. My bathroom was bone dry. The maintenance order had no contact name, just tenant's aunt. I asked Mr. Doyle about it. He looked embarrassed. "A woman came by claiming she was your aunt and said you were out of town. She insisted there was an emergency and asked for a welfare check." My face went hot. "Please put a note on my file," I said, trying to keep my voice even. "No one gets access to my unit except me. Ever. If there's a leak, call me. Not anyone else." He nodded, genuinely sorry, and added the note while I watched. That night, I drafted a short email. Subject line: "Cease and desist." It said, clearly and without decoration, that Linda and Amber were not to visit my building uninvited, not to contact building staff or management about my unit, not to park in my spot, not to contact me except for emergencies regarding my mother's health. It said any further harassment would leave me no choice but to pursue legal options, including a restraining order. I CC'd my mom so there would be no back-channel confusion. I hit send with my heart pounding like I just run up all 6 flights of stairs. Linda responded with silence. Amber posted a selfie captioned, "Haters gonna hate." I took a long shower, washed my hair twice, and slept like I'd earned it. For a month, the apartment felt like I'd imagined it the first day. A quiet, sunlit promise. I got used to my routine. Coffee at the window, podcasts while I wiped down the counters, the small satisfaction of a made bed. My mom and I had a new rhythm, too. We'd do lunch on Sundays and talk about normal things. Her book club, my coworker with a loud laugh, the plant that refused to die. She stopped bringing up Linda because she could see that even saying the name made my shoulders tense. I didn't ask for updates. I didn't want to know. Then life did what it does. It let me forget just long enough to be surprised. A credit card bill addressed to Carrie Plus Guest arrived in my mailbox. The name wasn't mine. It was Amber's last name. My stomach turned. I hadn't added anyone to anything. I called the card company and spent 45 minutes confirming my social wasn't used, my accounts weren't compromised, my address was somehow listed as Amber's alternative delivery location. The rep removed it and flagged the file. "Someone probably used your address to look more stable," she said. "Happens sometimes." I knew who. I took a photo of the envelope and dropped it in the apartment receipts folder. Something mean and sour spread across my tongue. I brushed my teeth just to get rid of it. A week later, the doorbell camera pinged while I was at work. I opened the app and watched Linda stand at my door holding a casserole dish. Like we were still living in a TV show where a warm meal equals an apology. She knocked twice, then reached into her bag and pulled out a key. It didn't work. "Thank you, keypad." But watching her try felt like someone was prying on the bones of my house. I forwarded the clip to Mr. Doyle, then to myself. I didn't call my mom. I didn't want her to hurt for me. The final straw wasn't explosive. It was stupid. It was a Tuesday. I got home late and found a note slipped under my door. Handwritten bubbly letters. "Hey cuz, I'll be crashing here tonight, Kay? Don't be lame. Family first." I stared at it, then at my locked door, then at the thin space between the jamb and the doormat where the note had slid in. I didn't have a couch that pulled out. I had a life that did not include this. I spent the next hour printing 3 copies of a letter I never wanted to write. It said, "You are not welcome in my apartment or on this property. If you trespass, I will call the police. If you contact management, I will pursue a restraining order. If you use my address in any way, I will report it as fraud." I taped one to my door, one to the wall by the elevator, and left one with Mr. Doyle. Then, because I am not made of ice, I sat on my kitchen floor and cried. Not because I doubted myself. Because it's awful to have to defend your peace from your own family. The dark turn didn't start with me. Life did that part. The first domino fell when Amber lost her job. Not because of me, because she'd been late too many times and posted a TikTok from the stockroom and called a customer basic on a hot mic. She went online to rage about snakes and fake friends and toxic bosses. Linda amplified it with comments about how girls like my daughter get targeted. A week later, Amber's car got booted because of unpaid tickets. Then her roommate, the dangerous one, wasn't dangerous at all, she was just done. She posted a thread with screenshots. Amber hadn't paid her share of the rent in 2 months. Her room was a biohazard. There were photos. They were not kind. Linda tried to spin it. She told anyone who'd listen that the world was against her baby. She told my mother that if certain people had opened their hearts, none of this would have happened. My mother listened twice and then stopped answering her calls. When Amber finally showed up again at my building, it wasn't to talk. She lugged a duffel bag that looked like it had been dropped from a plane and tried to wait me out in the lobby. Mr. Doyle called me from the front desk. "She says she's your cousin," he said carefully. I could hear Amber arguing in the background. "She is," I said, "and she isn't staying here." My voice didn't shake. "If she refuses to leave, call the non-emergency line. Tell them a non-resident is refusing to vacate." He did. When the officers arrived, they were patient and professional. They asked me some questions. I showed them my email trail and the copy of the cease and desist. They asked Amber where she planned to go. She said here. They said no. She lunged for the elevator. They blocked her. She cried, makeup streaking, the kind of cry that confuses anger for pain. I didn't cry. I felt very old and very young at the same time. They escorted her out. I watched the glass doors close behind her. Then I stood there with Mr. Doyle, both of us breathing like we just carried furniture up 6 flights. "I'm sorry," he said. "Not your fault," I said. 2 days later, Linda came back with a man I didn't know. Some guy with a clipboard and a fake-looking badge claiming to be from tenant advocacy. He talked fast about my obligation to assist family in housing insecurity. He said words like moral duty and support network, like they had legal weight. I recorded the conversation on my phone and kept my responses short. "I don't consent to you being here. Please leave." When they didn't, Mr. Doyle called the police again. The officers recognized Linda from her earlier performance in the lobby. They weren't amused. They issued a trespass warning. If she came back, she'd be cited. That seemed to wake something up in Linda, but it didn't keep her from trying other doors. She pressed my mom harder. She told the family I was sick and shutting everyone out. She tagged me in a post about forgiving selfishness. I kept documenting. I didn't reply. I went to work. I cleaned my counters. I cared for the plant that still refused to die. The final act came in pieces. A letter from the Department of Labor about a complaint Amber filed against her former employer for wrongful termination, which listed my address as her residence. A notice from the DMV about an incident with a car registered at my address. A car I didn't own. A package addressed to Amber left in the lobby, with final notice stamped in red. I took photos of everything and returned what I could to sender. I filed reports where I needed to. I did not allow their mess to become my mess. The day the real crash landed, it didn't even start with them. It started with a water main break 2 blocks away that shut down half the street. It started with a phone call from my mom, asking if I wanted to come over for dinner. I almost said yes, but I had laundry and an early meeting, so I said I'd call her tomorrow. I put my phone on the counter and walked down to the laundry room with a basket under my arm. It was quiet and warm, the dryers humming like a tired symphony. I loaded a washer. I checked my pockets for quarters I didn't need because everything runs on a card now. When I came back upstairs, my door was open 3 inches. My heart climbed into my throat. I set the basket down silently and listened. A whisper. A giggle. The flick of a light switch. I pressed the side of my phone and opened the door with my foot hard so it slammed against the stopper. The giggle died. Amber stood in my kitchen holding a bottle of wine from my counter like it was a microphone. Behind her, Linda had my junk drawer open, rifling for a spare key that didn't exist. "What are you doing?" I said. It wasn't a question. It was grief with teeth. "You weren't answering," Linda said, like that explained breaking and entering. "We need to talk." "You need to leave," I said, and dialed 911 in front of them. My voice was calm. "This is Carrie. There are 2 people in my apartment who are not allowed to be here. They have been warned previously. Please send officers." Amber scoffed. "You're so dramatic." "Sit down," Linda hissed at her, but Amber didn't. She took a step toward me, chin out, daring me to do something without witnesses. The doorbell camera was recording. My phone was recording. My pulse was a drum in my ears. The cops were quick. The water main break had them nearby. The officers separated us, asked for IDs, listened to my flat, careful answers. I showed them the emails, the letters, the trespass warning. I showed them the open door and the pry marks near the latch where a card had been used to slip it. I showed them the text I'd gotten 5 minutes before I found the door open. "Don't be lame. Family first." They took Linda aside. They spoke to her in low, serious tones. She tried to charm. She tried to cry. Then one of the officers asked Amber to open her bag. She did with a flourish like she was in trouble for glitter. Inside were 3 pieces of mail addressed to me, my spare set of earbuds, and the remote to my TV. There was also a plastic sleeve with a handful of debit cards not in her name. The officer's face changed. It turns out Amber had been skimming. Not from me, from her last job, from a register she used to run. It turns out the incident with the car was a hit and run she'd been coded to, and she'd used my address for the DMV because she thought it would make her harder to find. It turns out Linda had known more than she'd said, and less than she pretended. It turns out that when you break into someone's apartment with a bag full of other people's stuff, the police stop being patient. They arrested Amber for possession of stolen property, and for violating the trespass warning. They cited Linda for trespassing and interfering with an investigation. When they cuffed Amber, she screamed at me that I had ruined her life. I didn't respond. I was busy holding the door open for the officers, watching my plant tremble on the windowsill, willing myself not to shake. After they left, Mr. Doyle came up to do a courtesy check. He stood in my doorway, hat in his hands, and said, "I'm sorry," for the 4th time since I moved in. I said, "Me too," and meant it in a way that surprised me. Not sorry for holding my line. Sorry that a line had to exist at all. News travels fast in families. Within a day the cousins knew. Within 2 the aunts and uncles. The thread filled with shocked faces, sanctimonious silences, and a few brave, "We should have seen this coming." Linda's husband posted a non-apology about how his family was going through a lot. My mom came over with takeout and hugged me like I was made of glass and steel at the same time. "I am so proud of you," she said. "I'm so sorry." We didn't say Linda's name. In the weeks that followed, life didn't snap back into place. It settled. There were court dates I didn't have to attend. There were letters I didn't have to write because the district attorney handled it. There was a restraining order that now had a case number. There was silence in my apartment again, deep and dense and earned. I replaced the latch. I added a second camera. I bought a fireproof box for my important papers. I stopped checking the doorbell app every time it pinged. Eventually, it stopped pinging for them. Linda's face did not appear again. My mom's did, with Tupperware and a stack of gardening magazines and a shy little succulent in a terracotta pot. "For your window," she said. The plant joined the other one that refused to die. They looked like they were conspiring to live. Sometimes, late at night, I replay the first day with the keys heavy in my hand and the sun warming the wood. I replay the hallway standoff, the lobby scene, the open door. I think about how easy it would have been to say fine once and end up living in someone else's version of my life. I think about the phrase family first, and how it's not a key that opens every door. Sometimes it's a crowbar. And sometimes the only way to love your family is to lock the door, calmly and completely, and let life do what it does next. People ask me if I feel guilty. They ask in that careful way like they're testing the air. The real answer is complicated. I don't regret a single boundary I set. I regret that it was necessary. I regret that a woman like Linda can confuse love with access so completely that the word no sounds like betrayal. I regret that Amber learned every lesson except the ones that mattered. But I also know this: I bought an apartment and I bought myself. I bought the right to wake up to my own mess, to make my bed or not, to listen to the hum of my fridge like it's a lullaby. I bought a window that holds the sun like a secret, a hallway that carries only the sounds I invite, a door that answers only to me. The world didn't end when I drew a line. It began. If this is the part where I'm supposed to say something hopeful, here it is, plain and honest. Life hits back. Not because you make it, not because you wish it, but because cause and effect aren't suggestions. Linda taught me that. Amber taught me that. My mother, in her quiet way, taught me that too. When you stop making yourself small to fit inside someone else's entitlement, the fallout looks like chaos at first. Then it looks like clarity. I still keep the apartment receipts folder, updated and organized. Not because I'm scared anymore, but because I learned how to take care of myself for real. The plant on my windowsill has outgrown its pot twice. I repotted it both times. The roots were stronger than I expected. A little tangled but healthy. They had learned to hold on to what feeds them and let go of everything else. So if you're listening to this in a room you barely believe is yours, with walls you haven't decided how to decorate yet, hear me. It's okay to want the quiet you earned. It's okay to say no to people who confuse you with a spare room. It's okay to close the door and trust that the people who love you will love you on your side of it. And when the knock comes that sounds like an old obligation, you can look through the peephole, take a breath and not answer. I didn't answer. It chose me. And in the end, life answered for the rest.